Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. You are once again welcome here on the platform of Awakening Consciences. So on the front page of international news, it is very, very hot about Ukraine with its famous president Volodymyr Zelensky at its head. It is very hot in Ukraine. Yes, all the money that was financed in the form of financial aid, military aid, I was going to say, to Ukraine. Today, since America set the tone of seeking to recover everything America has financed today, most European countries have stood up and started raising their voices. They want their money back since Ukraine has rare earths and Ukraine is preparing to grant to the United States of America as reimbursement. Money that America sent to fund the conflict. Other states also do not want to remain naive. Everyone wants to do well since Ukrainian soil is very rich. This is known to all. Ukraine is one of the few countries in the world that has this rare earth, right? Is it really a mineral that you can't find almost anywhere? So next to that, we are witnessing the fact that there are countries in Europe that were great military supporters of Ukraine who have decided to abandon Ukraine, but permanently. This is the case of Poland, which makes a very cold, very chilling announcement, and all crowned by the fact that Zelensky must organize the presidential elections in Ukraine as quickly as possible. If he doesn't know it, it's over for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this video conference, that's what we're going to talk about. But before we dive into the depths, I ask you to share the video conference. Share it in as many groups as possible. Above all, put a lot of likes. So we are talking about Ukraine. We are talking about Ukraine, which obviously has so many difficulties today. Ukraine has so many difficulties that we even wonder how it will end. Already today, the American president, on whom all of Europe and Ukraine relied firmly, President Donald Trump, who came and says he gets along better with Russia than with Ukraine. He said bluntly, it's on the front page of the Western media. Today, we are faced with a situation where any European country would speak ill of Russia would have to do with Donald Trump, with America. And it is in this context that Robert Fico's Slovakia taps on the table. Yes, Slovakia calls on Zelensky to return. To his country, 3.5 billion euros in aid to Ukraine. This is what they financed, 3.5 billion euros in aid to Ukraine. Are you saying Slovakia is wrong? You know, when we take their mafia, whether it's NATO or whether it's the European Union, we have two countries that are labeled as rebel countries. We have Slovakia. From Robert Fico, we have Hungary. From Viktor Orban, these are two countries which are never in the archaic idea, outdated on the year of Europeans, we can say. The ideology of the current Donald Trump has always been an ideology released and defended by these two countries and by these two leaders, Robert Fico and Viktor Orban. You will remember that they had tried to send Robert Fico to eternal rest. He trampled on death. They couldn't send him to eternal rest. Robert Fico and Viktor Orban have always opposed Europe's ideas of wanting to continue the conflict. At the time, everyone took them for what they were. That's crazy. But the two countries, the two leaders, had no other support within the organization. Here's today. The head of the powerful state, that is the very state that ensures the security of NATO Europe. This chef, who is Donald Trump, comes directly to put his feet in the dish. That is to say, he aligns himself with the logic of Robert Fico and Viktor Orban. So what will Robert Fico do? What will Robert Fico's country do if America demands the return of its money? And it would seem that France is also in the process of demanding the restitution of its money. So what are countries that are naturally opposed to conflict going to do? What are these countries going to do? So here is what Slovakia says. How can Zelensky return the 3.5 billion euros we invested there? The question arises since they want Zelensky to return this amount. At the moment, they are not talking about rare earths, but everyone knows that Ukraine has the opportunity to repay debts by offering these rare earths, because Ukraine has many, but many. So he says this. He says Slovakia. At least it says this. Slovakia says that it is a significant amount for us. If the Germans, along with the French and Americans, demand the return of their funds, Slovakia cannot stay away from Germany is cited. According to the official information, Germany is cited, France is cited. Even if we have not yet seen publicly, officially, such a requirement on the part of Germany and France as it is for America. More. According to the information that we receive on this evening of February 25th, 2025, and it is Slovakia that says it, if the Germans, alongside the French and the Americans, demand the restitution of their funds, Slovakia cannot stay away. Here is the statement made by the leader of the Slovak National Party, Andrej Danko. For the moment, Robert Fico, whom we know for his position, has not yet touched on this point. But this statement, made by this Slovak political party leader, is in line with the legitimate aspirations of Robert Fico's Slovakia. So we will see if Ukraine will be able to return all these amounts. And you see there whether Ukraine returns or not. You see there, to what extent are Europeans willing to betray? When they sent these huge sums, they didn't say they were debts. It's today. So we made the world understand that it was debt. Do you see how often things get complicated? So here's what's happening on the one hand. On the other hand, Poland is very upset, the Polish army. Warsaw ends the deployment of its armed forces in Ukraine. He says this, the Polish army will not die for Ukraine. So it is the Polish Minister of Defense, Władysław Kamysz, who said that all political forces of the Republic are united in their refusal to send troops to Ukraine. They're not going to send troops to Ukraine. That's so clear. However, we know Poland, which has always been very agitated in the context of support for Ukraine. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this was the front page of international news. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I'll be right back with some news. It was the voice of your only samurai.